Most people think the future arrives slowly, that problems give warnings, that there's always time to adjust once things become obvious. That belief is comfortable, and it's also the reason so many people are unprepared when change actually arrives. Because the biggest shifts don't announce themselves loudly. They creep in quietly, reshape the environment, and only feel urgent when the damage is already done. If you feel like life has been harder to plan lately, harder to predict, harder to stabilize, that's not random. That's the early signal. And 2026 isn't just another year on the calendar. It's a pressure point. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. The systems that made life feel predictable for the last decade are losing their balance at the same time. Money, work, housing, education, technology, even attention itself are being pulled in different directions. Not collapsing overnight, but stretching thin. And when systems stretch, they don't break evenly. Some people adapt early and absorb the pressure. Others don't notice until it's too late. This isn't about fear. It's about timing. And timing is everything. What makes this moment dangerous isn't a single event. It's the overlap. Multiple slow-moving changes hitting together. Costs rising in subtle ways while incomes struggle to keep up. Job security feeling stable on paper but fragile in practice. Financial decisions that once had small consequences now carrying long-term weight. When these forces align, the average person feels confused more than alarmed. Confusion is what keeps people passive. And passivity is expensive. A lot of people assume preparation means predicting exact outcomes. It doesn't. You don't need to know what will happen to prepare for change. You only need to understand incentives and behavior. Systems move in the direction of incentives, not intentions. Individuals do the same. And right now, incentives are quietly shifting away from convenience and toward adaptability. For years, the dominant financial advice focused on optimization within stable conditions. Spend a little smarter, save a little more, invest when you can. Those ideas still matter, but they're no longer sufficient on their own. Because stability itself is becoming conditional. Not absent, but selective. It rewards flexibility more than loyalty, awareness more than habit, and long-term thinking more than short-term comfort. One of the biggest misunderstandings about economic change is that it hurts everyone equally. It doesn't. The same environment can produce very different outcomes depending on behavior. Two people can earn similar incomes and live in the same city, yet experience completely different levels of stress and opportunity. The difference usually isn't intelligence or luck. It's structure. How their lives are set up to handle pressure. Think about fixed costs. Rent or mortgage payments, car expenses, subscriptions, debt obligations. These feel manageable when income feels predictable. But fixed costs reduce flexibility. They lock future decisions into past assumptions. When the environment shifts, high fixed costs turn small disruptions into crises. Lower fixed costs turn the same disruptions into inconveniences. This is why preparation isn't about predicting crashes or chasing trends. It's about reducing fragility. Fragile systems work well until they don't. Resilient systems may feel less optimized, but they survive shocks. Most people have unknowingly optimized their lives for convenience, not resilience. And convenience is expensive when conditions change. Another misunderstanding is that preparation requires drastic action. Quitting jobs, selling everything, moving to extremes. In reality, the most effective preparation often looks boring. It's quiet adjustments made early, before pressure forces them. It's choosing optionality over excess. Margin over maximum leverage. Flexibility over appearances. Mental preparation matters just as much as financial preparation. Stress isn't only caused by lack of money, it's caused by lack of control. When people feel trapped by decisions they can't reverse, anxiety grows even if income stays the same. The coming years are likely to test emotional resilience as much as bank accounts. Those who expect constant certainty will struggle more than those who expect change. There's also a cultural factor most people underestimate. Attention has become one of the most valuable resources, and also one of the most exploited. The constant noise of headlines, predictions, outrage, and urgency makes it harder to think clearly. When attention is fragmented, decision-making suffers. People react instead of plan. They consume information but fail to convert it into strategy. This is where discipline becomes a competitive advantage. Not extreme discipline, but consistent habits. The ability to delay gratification, to ignore unnecessary signals, to focus on what actually moves the needle. These traits don't sound exciting, but they compound over time. And compounding works both ways. Small inefficiencies repeated daily become major problems over years. One of the most dangerous assumptions heading into 2026 is that recovery will automatically fix everything, that once conditions improve, past decisions won't matter as much. But recovery doesn't erase opportunity cost. Time lost can't be reclaimed. Choices made under pressure often lock people into long-term trade-offs. Preparing early isn't about pessimism, it's about preserving choice. Consider how people typically respond to rising pressure. They work more hours, take on more obligations, stretch themselves thinner. This can work temporarily, but it often increases fragility. More income paired with more fixed costs doesn't create safety. It creates dependency. True progress comes from improving the ratio between effort and outcome, not just increasing effort alone. Another subtle shift is how value is being measured. Credentials and titles still matter, but adaptability is gaining ground. Skills that transfer across contexts, the ability to learn quickly, and the willingness to update assumptions are becoming more valuable than static expertise. People who cling to outdated certainty may feel confident until the environment no longer rewards it. Preparation, then, becomes a mindset, a way of thinking that prioritizes learning over defending past choices, curiosity over ego, flexibility over comfort. This mindset doesn't require abandoning stability. It requires questioning whether current stability is real or borrowed from favorable conditions. Financially, this might mean building buffers instead of maximizing lifestyle. Mentally, it means rehearsing change instead of assuming continuity. Behaviorally, it means making fewer irreversible decisions. These are not dramatic moves. They are quiet advantages. It's important to avoid extremes. Panic leads to poor financial decisions just as complacency does. The goal isn't to fear the future, but to respect it. To acknowledge that uncertainty is increasing, and that pretending otherwise is costly. Calm preparation beats emotional reaction every time. One helpful way to think about the coming years is as a stress test. Not a collapse, but a test. Systems that are well designed pass with minor discomfort. Systems that are fragile reveal their weaknesses. Individuals are no different. The question isn't whether pressure will exist, it's whether your setup can handle it. Opportunity will still exist, but it will favor those who are positioned, not those who are chasing. Chasing requires speed and risk. Positioning requires patience and foresight. Most people are trained to chase because it feels productive. Positioning feels slow, but it's far more effective. This also applies to mindset around consumption. Many purchases are framed as rewards, but rewards that increase long-term obligations often become liabilities. True rewards increase freedom, not reduce it. Understanding this distinction changes how money is used, not just how much is earned. Another area that deserves attention is social comparison. In times of change, comparing progress to others becomes misleading. Appearances lag reality. People often maintain the image of stability long after it's gone. Measuring success by external signals can lead to dangerous overextension. Internal metrics like flexibility, savings rate, stress levels, and learning progress are more reliable. None of this requires perfection. Small improvements matter. Reducing one unnecessary expense, building one new skill, creating one additional income buffer, improving one habit around focus or planning. These actions compound quietly, just like inefficiencies do. The people who navigate 2026 well won't necessarily be the smartest or the wealthiest. They'll be the ones who adjusted early, stayed calm, and avoided locking themselves into rigid paths. They'll be the ones who treated preparation as a process, not a one-time decision. It's also worth addressing the emotional side of preparation. Letting go of old expectations can be uncomfortable. Many people were promised a certain version of adulthood, stability, and progress. Adjusting those expectations can feel like failure, even when it's rational. But reality doesn't reward nostalgia. It rewards alignment. The future doesn't require you to predict exact outcomes. It requires you to be ready for multiple possibilities. That means fewer all-or-nothing decisions, more modular choices, more emphasis on learning and less on proving. Patience plays a huge role here. Many financial mistakes come from rushing, buying at the wrong time, committing before understanding, reacting to noise instead of signal. Slowing down, even slightly, improves decision quality dramatically. There's also a psychological benefit to preparation that's often overlooked. It reduces fear. When you know you've built buffers and flexibility, uncertainty becomes less threatening. You may not control outcomes, but you control responses. That sense of control is powerful. As 2026 approaches, the question isn't whether things will change. They already are. The real question is whether you'll adjust intentionally or be forced to adjust later under pressure. Early adjustments are cheaper. Late adjustments are stressful. You don't need to overhaul your life. You need to audit it. Identify where you're most fragile, where small disruptions would cause outsized stress. Those areas are signals, not failures. Signals of where preparation matters most. This is also a good time to reassess what success actually means. If success requires constant anxiety and overextension, it's not sustainable. Redefining success around resilience, balance, and optionality creates a healthier path forward. The next few years will reward those who think long-term in a short-term world, those who resist impulsive decisions, those who invest in themselves quietly, those who accept that preparation isn't exciting, but regret is far worse. History shows that major shifts don't destroy opportunity, they redistribute it. The people who benefit are rarely the loudest or most confident. They're the most prepared. You don't need certainty to move forward. You need clarity about what matters. Focus on what you can control. Your habits, your spending, your learning, your mindset. These are stable anchors in an unstable environment. If there's one idea to carry forward, it's this. Preparation is not about fear of the future. It's about respect for it. It's choosing to act while you still have options, rather than waiting until options disappear. The people who say no one could have seen this coming are usually wrong. The signs are always there. They're just quiet, easy to ignore, uncomfortable to act on, until ignoring them becomes impossible. You still have time. Not unlimited time, but enough. Enough to adjust, enough to prepare, enough to reduce risk and increase flexibility. The future doesn't require perfection. It requires intention. If this perspective helped you think differently, take a moment to like the video so more people can see it. Share your thoughts or questions in the comments. And subscribe if you want more grounded, long-term thinking about money, mindset, and navigating change.